Coach Lee, your first question will come from Eric Hansen.
Hey, Coach, you guys have been so good with your run fits all year. The last couple of games that got away from you. Why do you think that happened, and what do you feel like you can do to get that back when going against Najee Harris in that group?
Well, obviously we have our work cut out for us. And I mean, you can watch Alabama play and understand that, but it's a combination of things. I think the first thing that we would look at is say, where we deviated from our personality just in the execution of our defense and our defensive structure, and I think that came into play in the Syracuse game. And then, I think, a little bit in the Clemson game might have been, guys pressing to make plays, and not just singularly focused on doing their job. And I know that sounds a little cliche, but I think what I want to point out is just, when guys function as one of 11, it streamlines their processing in snap. And when you streamline processing within the snap, you're able to play at your physical best because you're just exerting your strength and power through your technique. And that was a part of it, but Clemson did a good job too of putting our structure in compromised positions, and that's where I have to step up and help as well. So, I think obviously focus on execution, focus on being one of 11, focus on playing fast and physical, getting to our technique faster than the opponent is a part of it. And obviously, as the games get bigger and the opponents get better, when you have small lapses or small issues, they become big and you can get exposed really quickly. So we have to be on point. This is a really good offense we're playing, and we're excited to go at it with them. But we're definitely going to have to shore up some things on our end and again, play to our level best.
We'll go next to Pete Sampson.
Clark, a couple things. I was curious how you've managed the Vanderbilt job while preparing for Alabama. And then, so from a personnel standpoint, as a defensive coordinator, what a player like Kyle Hamilton lets you do with your call sheet when he's at his best, and how that sort of changes the kinds of defenses that you can run.
Well, to your first question, my singular focus has been on preparation for this game. And I know that may be hard to believe, but this is too big. I mean, whatever is to come next for me will be there when this season's finished. But this is the culmination of 4 years of investment for me. So, and it's not just about me, obviously, it's 4 years of investment with these players. And so I'm excited about the future, but, this is the discipline just to stay focused on the task at hand, but emotionally, the investment, all the things that we've done over this time, it makes it easy. And there's a group of people that are in place in Nashville that are helping me navigate it so that I can be singularly focused. And I just appreciate that. And that was really in the process of evaluating the job, that was an important part on both ends. If we're going to be about commitment, let's be, let's function with integrity and allow for commitment to be seen through here. So not been an issue and won't be an issue. And obviously with an opponent like Alabama, you can't, every bit of my mental and emotional energy has got to be put into this game plan. To your second question, I think Kyle makes a difference. He makes an impact by just being on the field. I think that, his presence is felt. I think teams will plan around him. His length, his range, he fills up a lot of windows. Obviously he's proven over his career to have the ability to attack the ball and make plays. So that obviously is an impactful just from the start. When he's playing at his best, he becomes a difference maker for us. And I think when you look at big games like this, you need your best players to come out and play their best. And I know that's what we've been pushing him for. And, that's been the message from Coach Kelly. And, that'll be that'll be fun to watch. I'm excited for him to have this opportunity. You know, one thing that's lost is he was a recruit in 2018 when we were playing, you know, in the playoffs, and I can remember talking to him before the game, you know, about, you know, being to this point when he's playing here, and here we are, you know. So having all these guys take advantage of the stage and enjoying this level of competition, and you know, going out there and representing ourselves the right way.
We'll go next to Mark Skoll.
Hey, Coach, you were here for the beginning of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah's time at Notre Dame. He goes from scout team to one of the best players in the country, winning all these awards, it seems like, every day. What has allowed him to succeed and grow through this program over the years?
Well, I think there's a willingness to be coached and developed. There's like a humility involved in that, where, you know, it takes a certain personality to step back and say, hey, this is something I really want. I'm not where I need to be. And how do I, you know, coach, how do I get to where I want to be? And it's never, I mean, that's never easy. And it's certainly not without, you know, hiccups along the way. But, you know, for Wu, his development off the field has been as important as this, it really is kind of translated into his development on the field. And I'm talking specifically just about, you know, structuring his day, you know, just being on top of all the little things that this program demands of you, the attention to detail. And I think as he's really, you know, flourished on this campus, that is absolutely transferred to his on-field performance. And so, you know, it's allowed him to reach for his potential as a player. And I still think that, you know, we're continuing to push for that highest level for him. That's what's exciting for him moving forward. But, you know, it's been fun to be a part of that process. I think these are the stories that as a coach, they fuel you. And I'm excited for Wu. I'm excited for what his future holds. I'm excited for him to play on Friday. I know this is a big game for him, and he's ready to go out there and compete at his highest level. But it's been a great time here with him at Notre Dame. Very proud of what he's accomplished.
We'll go next to Tyler James.
Clark, what has allowed Drew White to be a steadying force for you guys in the middle of the defense?
Well, you know, Drew is kind of like the against all odds, you know, member of the defense. He was counted out early on. I mean, he was hurt, you know, when he came in, he got hurt again. Then finally he was able to kind of, you know, scratch the lineup against Navy in 2018, and he kind of hung in there for the remainder of the year. And then, you know, we graduated, you know, two really good players, and so he was going to have a chance to compete. He gets hurt again, you know, so he's really had to battle. But what makes Drew special is his character, his personality, his competitive spirit. You know, he's a guy that he is every day pushing himself. I mean, like, I don't know that I can think of a day where I remember taking the field in practice, I'm talking about, and worried about like where Drew's mind was or whether or not he was going to give everything he had. Yeah, he's as consistent a player as I've ever coached in that respect. And then it's not just about that though. Like, it's not just about the steadiness, right? Like, that's important, but at some point you have to have an edge. You have to have a switch that's flipped. And for as you know, pleasant and as like awesome this guy is off the field, he's maniacal on the field, and you'll take that on your team every time. So that's really what's allowed him to flourish in this system. It is a skill set. He's got a skill set. He's a very good short area player. He's a physical player, even though he's not the biggest. But honestly, it's the combination of this relentless preparation and focus and consistency off the field or in preparation. And it's this maniacal attitude on the field where, I mean, we always joke, but like, so like he almost kind of blacks out during the game and just plays. And it's fun to watch, and he's been a lot of fun to coach.
We'll hand it over next to Dennis Dodd.
Hey, Clark. Congratulations. As a defensive coordinator, I wanted to ask, there was a time, there's a reason why the wishbone isn't run anymore. The veer isn't run anymore. Will defenses eventually, I guess, quote unquote, catch up to the spread and RPOs and maybe get even with them? Or is this just something that's going to stay?
Well, I think as long as teams have the ability to spread the field out and particularly to run the quarterback, you're always going to be forced to defend with all 11 players, meaning like every single you're going to be zeroed out. Every person's going to have a responsibility. Until you have a guy that can cover two responsibilities, then you're 1 for 1 across the board, and you better win your one-on-ones. And that's where offenses become so complicated, is that they've found ways to isolate you. And if your DB is one step behind, or if your linebacker is leveraged an inch off the body and the ball's caught, it can run into a lot of space. And I think too with offenses, what I feel like I've seen is just the willingness to continue to push the envelope for what's possible. I mean, what these teams are asking of their quarterbacks, how they're using tempo and then hard counts and scans to undress shells. I mean, it is relentless. That said, I do think that what we're seeing is like, the spread offense kind of like, what would it be, 15 years in or so? I mean, I think we finally got to the point where teams that were just running zone read, and pulling the ball with the quarterback and at times throwing a bubble off it. I mean, I think we found ways to restructure to account for that, at least, good enough. But now you're dealing with this whole new, version where the side of the read, the movement of the back, and like I said, the running of the quarterback. I mean, you're requiring your players to win their one-on-ones, to be impeccable when it comes to the execution of the defense, of their responsibility. And then you pay with explosive play touchdowns when you miss in the execution. And so I do think that, as with every year, you have time to study in the off season, and you pour into new ways and creative ways to change the way we key and diagnose, to change the way we recognize formation. And I think defensive football is still going to be about playing fast and physical and swarming the ball. Like, that's always got to be a part of the recipe. But certainly I think, we will catch up. And I also think that offenses will continue to evolve. And that's what makes this fun. I mean, it's what makes it an exciting line of work. Is, as a teacher, there is no such thing as a concept set in stone. It may be set in stone for a year, but someone somewhere is going to find a way to break that concept, and you're going to have to adapt it to stay relevant. And so that's the challenge of a defensive coordinator, and that's also what's exciting.
We'll go next to Michael Casagrande.
Yes, just wondering, is there any offenses you've seen that look like Alabama's in the season so far?
Well, schematically, we've seen variations of what they do. I mean, I think every opponent we play is in some way unique. Obviously, I think the Clemson offense, has a highly skilled outfit that has multiple ways to move the ball and multiple ways to find explosive plays. So from a personnel standpoint, there are similarities there. But every offense is uniquely itself, and Coach Sarkisian does a great job. It's not just about their players. I mean, he does a very smart job in designing scheme to create matchups and to create problems on defense. And then you combine that with the fact that they have a really talented group. I think it starts in the O-line. There's a toughness there and a physical approach that we have to match and exceed, in our game, in our style. And then, they have skill at every position outside the O-line. And, it's going to force you to win in coverage, to win your one-on-ones. And they got a quarterback that can deliver the ball. So there's a lot for us to have to work towards in terms of finding our success on the field. As far as defending an offense, it's similar. I think we've seen parts and pieces through the year, but Alabama's unique, just like every other team's unique. So I wouldn't say it's any different in terms of our preparation.
We'll hand it over to Tim O'Malley.
Coach, I wanted to circle back to both Hamilton and Owusu-Koramoah. And did you decide to build your successful third down package around their varied skills? And is it a situation where they make a lot of the players in that package better around them because of their versatility?
With everything that we do, we're constantly just trying to find the right combination of people and the right combination of skill sets. And so obviously they're a part of that. And, we look to design around the strengths of our players, and particular, how our strengths line up against the opponent's strengths. So, we know that they're assets, but, we feel like we have other guys that we feature as well. We just try to do the best we can to design in a manner that puts our guys in the best possible position. And, if this thing is going the way it should, then every player on the field, we always say this: before anything else, your responsibility is to make the other 10 guys better on the field. So how do I do that? By communicating, by playing hard and fast, by being one of 11th, by executing my responsibility. If I set the edge as a force player and I do it to ball level, then the ball gets funneled in, and we trust in our pursuit to finish. If I don't set the edge as a force player and I don't get the ball level, then the ball runs away from our pursuit. And if we're going to be an effort-based unit, which we are, that's counterproductive to our purpose. And so again, not to be evasive in the question, I think, we always look at what we have. We know the skills and the strengths of our players. You got to be really careful not to give too much, because again, how do I slow players down is by weighing them down with scheme and adjustments. And so we constantly are looking to design around the strengths of our unit, particularly as they relate to the strengths of the offense, and then just put our guys in position to be successful.
And we'll wrap it up with you with Patrick Engel.
Hey, Clark, what were you looking for when you guys were trying to find a grad transfer corner, and what Nick gave you in those areas, and specifically what you kind of seen out of him that was maybe a little harder to see when you were just recruiting him over film and in virtual visits?
Well, the first thing that we try to protect here is the brotherhood and the relationships we've created. There's nothing worse than feeling like you might be bringing someone in that would be disruptive to the organization. And I'm not talking about in a negative way. I'm talking about in a personality way. You want someone who's going to be willing to be a part of something. And I think with the grad transfer market in general, things can get very transactional, right? Because sometimes it's just for a year. And so you don't want to have someone that comes in and just, tries to take all the resources without building in first. And I think the thing with Nick that stuck out was just how committed he was to being a part of this. And that was important to us. I mean, his personality, his character was evident through the process. Even when we were unsure, we weren't sure what we had, but he kept, he was always there. He was always ready. He was always excited about, the potential. And that goes a long way. Obviously, we had film on him. We knew he had played a lot of football in the ACC. He had been a captain. We knew he had battled injury, but we felt like that, that injury was, he was going to work his way through that and be fine. And so, we weren't sure that he would come in and be the starter at all. You know, I mean, I think he had to earn that. And from day one, it wasn't guaranteed. But early on in fall camp, he asserted himself as, you know, as an alpha as a player on the field. And he made it an easy decision for us as far as, you know, who was going to play that boundary spot. And he's been incredible. I mean, I can't, you know, again, for a guy to come in and just really tie into the fabric of our defense. I mean, he is completely a part of who we are. And so we're grateful for his efforts. We're grateful for him choosing to come here. And, you know, we know that it's been mutually beneficial for him. So those things work out, but we're very, very proud of Nick.
And we have time for one more quick question from Tim Priester.
Clark, all of college football world is trying to figure out how to stop or slow down Devontae Smith. Could you just give an assessment of what you're dealing with there on Friday?
He's tough. He's very tough. He's just a football player. I mean, he plays on teams. He does so much for that team. And I got a ton of respect for him, but I think the one thing that stands out is, you know, he's got another gear. You know, when he hits his accelerator, he has a chance to separate. And the number of times you see that on film, you understand pretty quickly that, you know, every snap there's an opportunity for them to score. And so, you know, we have to be leveraged properly. We have to have awareness of where he is all the time. And, you know, we're going to have to win, you know, to have a chance to be successful at the level we want to be successful at. And I think, again, when you talk about one person, that's, you know, we've defended teams that have one or two pieces. You know, we've done that, talented players. I think the compliment I'd give to Alabama is it's a really strong unit. It's a strong team. There's a lot of people that contribute to their success. And so you have to account for the most explosive player, but you can't only defend one guy, right? Because there's other guys that can hurt you. So, I mean, it's a unique challenge, but I've got a ton of respect for, like I said, Coach Saban, Coach Sarkisian, that staff, what they've done. The players work hard. They play together. They're clearly cohesive, and you know that's what you're going to get in these games. And so, you know, what we need to do is we need to execute on our plan. We need to play hard and play to our personality, and we need to have fun out there. I mean, I want to see our guys having fun and playing fast. And look, you know, Alabama's going to make plays. We're going to make plays. We got to keep battling, and you know, that's the spirit of our unit anyway. So I know the guys here are excited for the chance to get out there and compete. And, you know, we have a ton of respect for them, but we also believe in what we do. And so we're just excited for the opportunity and want to maximize the chance.
All right. And we will wrap it up with you there. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll continue this morning with senior linebacker Drew White. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. All right, we'll go ahead and continue with Drew White. Drew, your first question will be from Chuck Freeby.
Drew, Coach Lee just called you maniacal on the field and said at times you black out while you're playing and just kind of go play. I want to hear more about this. Where does that come from with you?
That's something I've had kind of my whole career playing football. You know, I'm sure a lot of the guys on the team can attest as well that you know, I have a different personality off the field than what I have on the field. You know, Coach Kelly talks about you know, your optimal zone and how, you know, some players have to play really relaxed and some players have to get up to a high tempo and high spirit to play well. And, you know, I need to get myself excited and I guess maniacal to play well. So yeah, it's just kind of how I've always been. I, you know, get on the field and have to play up tempo, and it helps me play well.
We'll go next to Brian Driscoll. And Brian, you have the floor whenever you're ready. Okay, we'll circle back to Brian and continue with Darren Pritchett.
Drew, the results stopping the run the last two games, maybe not the same as throughout the rest of the season. As you've looked at the film, has anything stood out the last two games that's changed? And also offer a thought on what you've seen on film from the Alabama run game led by Harris.
Yeah, you know, Alabama has a good blend of a passing offense and a run offense. So that's something we're dialed in. And, you know, the first thing we're going to have to do is stop the run. And so just looking at it from Clemson game, from the last Clemson game in the ACC championship, I think it was you know, more of not being disciplined and being gap sound. So that's kind of what we've been preaching this week, is to not make the game bigger than what it is. We've been able to stop the run for most of the season, so nothing should change. It's being disciplined, being gap sound, trusting the other 10 guys on the field that they're going to be in the right position as well. So just do your job, and you know, that's what we're going to have to do in the Rose Bowl.
And we will circle back to Brian Driscoll, if you are able.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Drew?
Yep.
All right. Sorry about that. I want to ask a scouting report question, just kind of looking at the Alabama offensive line as you guys have prepared for them. What do you see from them, and what kind of challenges does that unit present defenses?
Yeah, they have a really good O-line, probably one of the best we have seen this season. We want to be physical at the point of attack, and that's really been our identity as a defense this whole year is being physical, playing downhill. So they have a really good offensive line. They're big. We've kind of seen similarities with Georgia's offensive line last year. So it's just going to come down to being physical at the point of attack.
We'll go next to Larry Rubima.
Yes, how you doing, Drew? What's it been like playing alongside Jeremiah, and how have you guys been able to help one another?
Sure, I've gotten to play with Wu the past 2 years, and he's an electric linebacker, really rover. He can do both. He can cover and he can play in the run as well. And he's an electric player. He's a guy that can change the game. We saw that in our first Clemson matchup when, you know, he just took the ball and scored a touchdown. It's awesome to play next to him, and you know, really excited to have another opportunity to play against him. And yeah, he's a great player. Obviously, you can see all the, you know, great awards, the Buckus Award that he's gotten, and it's been a blessing to play next to him.
We'll hand it over to Pete Sampson.
Drew, you know, Coach Lee, I think, often says, like, you know, you want to make an offense play left-handed. You know, and you guys have done that successfully, whether it be Etienne in the first game against Clemson, or even, you know, Michael Pittman last year against USC. Like, can you make Alabama play left-handed when they have as many different options as they do?
Yeah, they're definitely not one-dimensional. I mean, they have a really good passing game and a really good running game as well. I think the focus is to make them snap the ball as many times as possible and limit the big plays. That's something that we got away from in the ACC championship game against Clemson. We had too many explosive plays. And so really, if we're disciplined in the back seven and then disciplined in our run defense as well and be gap sound, I think we can limit their explosive plays, which will make them have to drive the ball and have long drives. And, you know, I think at that point, it gives us more opportunities to make big plays and get negative yardage snaps and make them get behind schedule.
We'll go next to Chris Daly.
as a freshman, you were on a scout team with guys like Jafar Armstrong, Aaron Banks, and who they just mentioned, Jeremiah. So what does this class of 2021 mean to you, and what kind of separates you guys from the rest?
I definitely think this team's special because of the brotherhood. I'm sure you guys have heard of that, but this is a really close knit group of guys that care for one another, that go out there and don't play for themselves. They don't play for the stat line. They don't play for the awards. They play for each other, and that's what really makes this group special. We're extremely close off the field, which is really important. Through the year of 2020 when with COVID and the lockdowns and quarantine, and it really started in March when we were all sent home, and we're on the Zoom meetings just with each other, holding each other accountable, and that's what really started this special team. And now we're one of the top 4 teams in the country, looking to go to the national championship. I think the brotherhood and camaraderie is really what has propelled this team forward.
We'll go next to Patrick Engel.
Hey, Drew, kind of following up on that, I'm sure for a grad transfer like Nick McCloud to come into an already close-knit team in the middle of a pandemic when you guys aren't around each other as much is a difficult thing for him. But what have you noticed about his ability to acclimate and be part of that brotherhood, like you said, in a pretty seemingly seamless manner?
Yeah, Nick came in the summer and immediately gained respect from a bunch of guys on how hard he worked in the workouts and how he was a leader on and off the field. So he had a really smooth and seamless transition to the defense, and immediately got the respect that he deserved and should be credited for. So he's been great for us on defense and locking down at the corner position. So yeah, I mean he was a great addition to the defense.
We'll go next to Mac Engel.
Hey, are you guys tired as players of hearing this national narrative that Notre Dame does not belong in this game?
So, I think for me personally, I think for a lot of the guys, sure we hear it. We're, aware of the, the noise, we call it. But it's really just it's about us. It's about the guys in the locker room. It's about the brotherhood, which I touched on before. We were playing for each other. We're not playing for credit to, the media or whoever's thinking we don't deserve the spot. We're playing for each other. We want to get to the national championship. We want to win the national championship for our teammates. So, that's really what's propelling us is that right there.
And we'll wrap it up with Tyler James.
Hey, Drew, a couple questions for you. I know you're probably used to being a little bit overlooked as a guy that was a former 2-star recruit, and I know you're aware of the All-ACC snub from last week. How do those kind of slights motivate you? And then also, how much did watching your older brother Shaun set an example of what's possible for your career as a football player?
Yeah, you touched on it. I've really always I felt like not gotten the credit that I thought I deserved. But at the end of the day, I'm sitting here getting ready for the Rose Bowl and the college football playoff with playing with a top defense in the country. So it's not about the awards. It's about the respect that I can get from my teammates and the coaches in the locker room. And as long as those guys respect me and have faith in me and trust in me, that's all I really care about. That's all that's all I've really played for to begin with. So for me, it's not really about the awards at all. And then going off your second question with my brother, he's been a role model for me to begin with since the youth football days, and watching him play in the Sugar Bowl against Baker, and what he's battled through and how he's handled adversity has been amazing. And he's taught me so much, and he's a big part of the success that I've received.
All right, and we will wrap it up with you there. Thank you very much, Drew.
Thank you.
And we'll continue this morning with safety Kyle Hamilton. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and use the raise hand function. All right, we have Kyle Hamilton joining us next. Kyle, your first question will be from Austin Huff.
Kyle, just quickly, how you feeling right now, and what is it going to be like going up against a player like Devontae Smith?
Personally, I feel good right now. I think we got a lot of time since the Clemson game to rest up and get our bodies right for this game coming up on Friday. I think Devontae Smith is a really good player, but I mean, he showed throughout the year that he's one of the best receivers in the country. But I think we have a good game plan to hopefully contain him and show what we are made of on defense as well. So I think we have a good group of players on defense that match up well with them.
We'll hand it over next to Tim Priester.
Kyle, there's always a lot on your plate being in the position you're in, but maybe a little bit more here against Alabama, considering what you have to deal with in stopping the run with Harris and stopping the deep ball with Smith. How do you balance your role, your responsibility against an offense like this?
Our coaches have been preaching to just do your job. All 11 guys just need to do their job and stay within ourselves. And I think if I do that and all other 10 guys do that, we can take care of the run game and the pass game at the same time. I think our plan is very sound. And as we get deeper into the week, I think the players becoming more comfortable with it, more confident in it. So, I mean, if I do my job, the guys next to me do my job, I think we'll be perfectly fine.
We'll go next to AP Stedham.
Good morning, Kyle. Kyle, I wanted to ask you about Najee Harris. What makes him unique as a running back? And have you ever tackled somebody that's similar with that size and elusiveness and speed?
I think he's a great player. He's a big back. He's fast. He's agile. He has it all. He has a lot of intangibles. He's a good pass blocker as well. I think we all just have to bring our feet and just tackle, make open field tackles. I think that's going to be a big factor in the game. Just get them on the ground. Teams struggle with it, and that's when defenses have looked bad against them. But I think if we all do what we need to do in the run game and hopefully shut that down and do what we need to do in the pass game, we'll be okay. But I mean, he's a freak. He's a big guy that shouldn't be moving as fast as he does and laterally as quick as he does. I mean, I think we have people on defense that can stop that and will stop that on Friday.
We'll go next to Carter Carls.
Kyle, you've mentioned before just, how important it is to be disciplined with your eyes back there in the back end of the defense. And just wondering what the key to that is for you, like if you try to focus on something or multiple things and just how much more important is that in a game like this when you're going up against so many different weapons?
Right. I think you always have to be cognizant of how many people that can hurt you on the field, especially playing against Alabama this week. But I think it all goes back to our coaches talking about doing your job and me personally not trying to get out of myself and outside my body and make plays that aren't mine. I think whether it's a play where I have to keep my eye on the receiver and not look in the backfield or keep my eyes on the quarterback and just play off him, I think that if I stay within myself and do my job, I'll be perfectly fine with my eyes and my progression and stuff like that. And I just need to be patient and just do my job.
We'll go next to Chuck Freebie.
Kyle, where did this team get away from the good run defense in the Syracuse game and in the Clemson ACC championship game, and how do you restore that going against a team like Alabama?
I think it's just we had a couple games where we weren't filling gaps correctly or were slow to our fits or didn't necessarily fit where we needed to. And I think we've gotten it fixed. It was a problem, but I think a problem's been addressed. Coach Lee and everybody on the staff has addressed it, and I think we've gotten it fixed. And the game plan's pretty sound right now, and we all know our jobs. And just to emphasize the point of just doing your job, if everybody does their job, then the run game shouldn't be an issue. I think we all just have to play our game, not try to do too much. I understand it's a big stage, but we've all been here before. We've all played football, big games. And I think if we just keep that in mind and keep in mind that we're a great team too, we'll be okay.
Next question will be from Andrew Mentok.
I know a lot of third down success comes from how well you do on first and second down, but I believe against Clemson, more than half their third down conversions were 3rd and 6 or longer. What maybe do you have to do against Alabama to kind of get back to being one of the best teams on third down, especially on 3rd and long?
Coach Lee always preaches throughout the week that first and second down are really important downs, setting up third down, like you said, like 3rd and 5, 3rd and manageables. They have a wider variety of plays that they can run to get those 5 yards they need or 4 yards, whatever it is. But if we get them in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and long situations, we can go deeper into our third down playbook and get some pressure going or get some more stuff going in the coverage game. And then the offense is only limited to a certain amount of plays that they can run too. The run's kind of out of the option. So I think we can focus more on being just pass defensive players and not focus on too many things at once. And I think that is what maybe got us tripped up with the Clemson game, with the quarterback run and stuff like that in 3rd and medium situations. So I think if we get them in 3rd and long situations, we'll be much better.
We'll go next to Mark Skoll.
Hey, Kyle, Clark Lee just mentioned that he remembered telling you before the Cotton Bowl in 2018 that you would be on this stage playing there someday. It was cool to see a picture of you on social media of you at the game. What do you remember watching that game, and now what is it like for you after watching that game just 2 years ago? Now you're playing in the same building in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I think it's cool how everything's kind of come full circle. Obviously, that game didn't go as we wanted it to. But I mean, we all have the chance to make up for that now and change the narrative. I think there's a lot of hype surrounding the game, just talks about Notre Dame not being this, Notre Dame being that. And I think within the program, we all know who we are and know what we can do. And all know what kind of game we can play if we're all on the same page. So it's cool to get that second chance. And definitely seeing that in person makes it mean more. I mean, we'll be there on Friday, hopefully perform how we need to.
And we'll wrap it up with you with Ralph Russo.
Hey, Kyle. So you were an elite recruit. I think that's fair to say. And I'm going to make an assumption that you lived in a world or sort of occupied a world where you had interactions with other elite recruits through camps and things along those lines. I'm wondering if you can provide a little bit of insight. It does very much seem like the kids who are recruited at that level all sort of end up at the same schools, or there's a very small number of schools that seem to interest recruits at that level. Did you sense that when you're with, kids who are being recruited at that level, that everybody seemed to have Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, maybe Notre Dame in there? And I guess the other part of it is, do you have any sense of why?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those schools are blue bloods of college football. It's like going to Duke for basketball or Kentucky, Kansas for basketball. I mean, it's a professional factory. I mean, if you go there, your chances of getting to the NFL are a lot higher than if you go to a mid-major or other schools. And I think that kids lucky enough to be in that position understand that and understand what they can do if they do well in college to hopefully provide for their family and their loved ones. I think that provides a big boost to those schools because they have a reputation, including us, of just putting guys in the league and making kids' lives better and making their dreams come true and stuff like that. And I think ultimately what separated Notre Dame for me is that the academic aspect, because football is going to end at some point. And I want to know that I'll be well educated and well connected throughout the school. And I think Notre Dame provided the best opportunity for me to do that. So I think that's what separates it from every other school in the country, just the fact that we are perennial college football playoff team, along with the fact that we're a top 15 school in the country academically. So I think, yeah, those blue bloods, they're attractive to high recruits and even lower recruits who may deserve to go to those schools. But yeah, I think that may be the reason why highly recruited kids choose schools.
All right, and we will wrap it up with you there. Thank you very much, Kyle. And we'll continue in a few moments with cornerback Nick McCloud. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. All right, and joining us now is graduate student Nick McCloud. Nick, your first question will be from Patrick Engel.
Hey, Nick, how kind of a two-parter here. How are you kind of looking at and just feeling about the chance to get some one-on-ones, I would assume, with someone like Devonta Smith? And second, what do you think allowed you to kind of acclimate so quickly as a grad transfer coming into a new program under some pretty unusual circumstances?
Well, for the first question, it's just being able to compete with somebody like a player like Devonta Smith and the other great players they have is just a great opportunity. You know, I love to compete more than anything. So that's just first and foremost, just being able to have that opportunity to be on that platform to compete with those guys. And as far as just coming in and being acclimated to this program, I just think the way I was raised, the way I was built, along with just having captain-like experience coming from NC State was really what made the adjustment kind of easy for me.
We'll hand it over next to Darren Pritchett.
Nick, when you turn on the film and start evaluating wide receivers, what do you look for? And are there a couple of traits in Devonta Smith's game that puts him in a elite category of a wide receiver in college football?
Well, for me personally, just playing as much press as I do, just kind of seeing how guys get off the ball, the releases, quickness, speed, all that. But as far as Devonta Smith, like you said, when you cut on the tape, you can tell he has all the intangibles: releases, speed, ability to go get the ball, run after the catch, everything. So I think that's what kind of puts him into the category that he's in as an elite guy, just for the fact that he just has all those intangibles. Because a lot of guys, they might have one or two, but they don't have them all. But he definitely has them all. So.
As a reminder, please use the raise hand function if you do have a question. We'll go next to Chris Daly.
Hey, Nick. So you're a graduate transfer, as everybody's mentioned. So what was your first impression of Notre Dame, and what's your impression on the program Coach Kelly has built here at Notre Dame?
My first impression on the program, I just knew it was a historical program before I got the opportunity to look deeper into it. That just off the top just triggered me to want to come here. And as far as the program that Coach Kelly has built, I learned a lot more about it like whenever I got here on campus officially, because I didn't get to come visit during the pandemic or whatever. But just all the traits, man, that he tries to instill in us on a day-to-day basis, that it just speaks volume of how he wants to run his program. So I love it. So
we'll go next to Dennis Freeman.
Yes. Can you talk to me about what's it like for you to be able to play in the Rose Bowl game, and also what set of challenges does Alabama's offense present for your defense?
Just playing the game is just a blessing in itself. You know what I'm saying? Just growing up, this is a game that everybody wants to play in. Everybody watches Rose Bowl growing up. So just to be here, I'm just blessed to be here. But as far as the challenges the offense presents, they have a lot of weapons from top to bottom. Great physical offensive line, great quarterback, veterans up and down the roster. So, I think just that in itself is everything that they present is a challenge. So
we'll go next to Carter Carls.
Nick, what are a couple things maybe you've learned from being coached by Clark Lea this year that maybe you weren't accustomed to, or just some newer things that you learned? And then how has that helped you when you have a couple weeks to prepare for a game like this?
Just the scheme in itself, it was like we did a lot of some of the stuff on my first couple of years at NC State, but just the scheme in itself, how we expand on third down, how we prepare in the walkthroughs, everything. It helps us throughout the week just because we see a lot of plays through walkthrough, through film, everything. So I just think just the expansion of his defense on third down, just how much we see the plays throughout the week definitely helps. So.
And we will circle back to Darren Pritchett.
Nick, I just want to ask you about the impact that Matt Balis and his staff has had on you as a football player in your time at Notre Dame.
Definitely appreciate Coach Bayless and his staff for everything they've done. Coming off that knee injury, it was a little tough. Just trying to get acclimated back to where I wanted to be in the weight room as far as my lower body stuff. So definitely appreciate them for all they've done. Get me back to where I know I could have been when I got hurt. Get me back even better. So definitely appreciate those guys.
And we'll hand it over to Matt Freeman.
Hey, Nick, you've mentioned a couple times about your relationship with Stephen Gilmore. Have you kind of picked his brain at all this week about some tips or whatnot about what you'll face this week?
I haven't hit him up yet, but I'll definitely hit him up probably either later today or later on in the week, just to see like how he plays guys similar to the Devontae Smith, similar to the guys like Alabama has. So definitely we'll be giving him a call later throughout the week. So.
And we'll do one more call for questions. If you do have a question, please use the raise hand function. All right, looks like we're good to go. Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you.
And joining us in a few minutes will be Myron Tagovailoa-Amosa. Here he is now. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. And Myron, your first question will be from Chuck Freeby.
Myron, when Clark Lee presents the game plan, I'm not asking you to give the game plan, but how does he go about breaking it down when you go into a game like this?
Yeah, first and foremost, all praises to the Most High. Just blessed to have another opportunity to compete with my brothers and at the highest level. In reference to your question, it really just starts by breaking down, just the personnel we're going against, the type of players you're going to see, and basically just finding their strengths and their weaknesses and how we can attack their strengths using our own strengths, and also, finding opportunities to capitalize off little tendencies and weaknesses that they present on film.
We'll go next to Chris Daly.
All right, so I know your cousins Tua and Talia as well, so I can only imagine what those Thanksgiving football games were like. But Tua's definitely played in a few of these big games. What advice has he given you for games like this?
He's definitely just always told us in like little moments, just really have trust and have faith in ourselves, have faith in our teammates. And above all, just don't let the moment be too big for you. Everybody's human. Everybody playing this game brings different traits to the table. And it's all about just trusting in your craft and just really being in the moment, appreciating the moment that I have to compete and not overlooking to the next phase. So, yeah.
We'll go next to Brian Driscoll.
Hey, Myron, I just wanted just a quick scouting report question for you. As you've broken down film of Alabama, just kind of what you see from them, what makes them effective, and kind of what kind of, problems or matchup problems do they present teams, just kind of in general, a scouting report way.
Yeah, I mean, when you turn to film, you're probably going to see plays from guys like number 6, number 17, and number 8. But obviously, the defensive linemen, we just pay attention to the line of scrimmage. And I feel like that's really the point of emphasis of why their offense has been so successful. If you turn on the film, you see that front five playing bully ball, really just dominating that line of scrimmage up front and having their way game in and game out. And so, yeah, coming into this game, we understood that they definitely have talent all around, but we understand the biggest challenge is going to be up front, resetting the line of scrimmage and just dominating up front.
We'll hand it over next to Michael Casagrande.
Wondering if you've had any communication with Tua, any talk from that side of the family about this game and kind of the dynamic in play?
No, I haven't talked to him about the game in general, but I'm sure he has bigger things to worry about, seeing that he's trying to get into the playoffs. So I'm sure I think they clinched the playoffs. Not too sure, but definitely hope and pray that they do well.
We'll hand it over next to Andrew Mentok.
Line up on the Alabama offensive line. I know they're also extremely large linemen. Is that, I know Notre Dame has a lot of more athletic defensive linemen, maybe not huge in terms of weight. Does that pose any particular challenges? And on the flip side, does it also maybe offer some advantages there?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I like going against bigger offensive linemen only because for me, with my size, it's all about the point of attack. If I have the lower leverage, I'm always going to win. And so it's really come down to using our technique, having low pad level. And we definitely see big old linemen against our own line, and we go against them every day. We have Liam Eichenberg, Aaron Banks, all of them, Robert Hainsey. These guys are probably not your average old lineman, but they're big in size. And so I think for me, there's no real fall off for the level of competition.
We'll go next to Larry Rubema.
Yes, good afternoon, Myron. Talk about what has it been like playing with Jeremiah? And I know you guys always try to feed off of each other. Talk about how he's been able to help you in your game as well.
Yeah, one thing about Wu is he's the same person every day. He comes in, works hard, and he's a big motivator. You don't see him talking negatively on the field. He's more of a positive speaker, and he just has this aurora that beams off of him. And people just, when you're around him, you kind of just want to jump in, and you're just energized just by his presence, because the way he flies around to the ball, the way he takes leadership on the field. Those are the intangibles that some players that you can't really train to have, but some people are just born with it. And I'm just blessed to have him as a teammate, as a brother, and yeah.
And we'll do one more call for questions. If you do have a question, please raise your hand. We'll hand it over next to Rhea Turner.
Hi, Myron. How do you plan to corral Mac Jones in the pocket?
Yeah. Really is just dominating the line of scrimmage. Week in and week out, people, when faced with a tough opponent offensively, were posed with the question of how can we stop, this offense? And I'll give you the same answer every time. It's just dominating the line of scrimmage and affecting the QB. If you ever watch or put on the film, like I said, Mac Jones has all day back there. And I don't think there has been a defensive line that has really challenged the pocket. And so it's just going to be about creating pressure, making opportunities when given a passing situation. So, yes.
We'll go next to Omar Urena.
Hi, Myron. What does this game mean to you as a senior? And what are your personal goals for this game in your personal matchups versus the Alabama's offensive line?
Yeah, for me as a competitor, I love to compete against the best. I love to just see where I fall in terms of, competing against, like you said, probably one of the best offensive lines we'll probably face this season. As far as goals go, definitely just want to focus on getting our game plan down, really just honing in on just little tendencies that this offensive line can give us and just capitalize off of those opportunities. So, yeah.
All right. And it looks like that's all the questions we have. Thank you very much, Myron.
Thank you.
We'll continue in a few moments with Shaun Crawford. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and raise your hand. All right, we'll continue with Shaun Crawford. Shaun, your first question will be from John Finneran.
Hi, Shaun. I wonder if you could talk to us a little bit about the challenge that you see in this Alabama offense and how it compares to some of the other teams that you've played this season.
I mean, this team is very talented. On the outside, they have great skill position. They have a great running back and a good offensive line, and then a good quarterback who can get their receivers in their skill position the ball. So it'll be a challenge for us to try to contain them and try to just continue to go out there and throw different looks, show disguises, and try to just make it difficult for their coaching staff and then for Mac Jones as well back there, so he can't get a good read on us, and then try to just play top down and contain the receivers as much as we can. A similar team we can compare them to is North Carolina, a team that had a lot of speed and a lot of talent on the outside, a quarterback who can make all the throws, a quarterback who can make who can make all the reads, and as well as running backs who can take it the distance any play. And so, when you're looking at a team like Alabama, and I guess the teams that we've played, I think those two are pretty similar as far as the talent that they have on the outside with the quarterback and also a running game that is excellent as well.
We'll hand it over next to Carter Carls.
Shaun, what would you say have been maybe the biggest challenges you've had moving to safety and just being at the position week after week? And then second part of the question is just how have you seen Clarence Lewis come along as a true freshman at the cornerback position?
Just I guess for me as the safety position, it's just trying to learn the safety position week in and week out, based on the different teams and then based on our scheme and our plan. I guess coming from corner, it was just play man or play zone pretty much. And then just going to safety is kind of seeing the whole field and reading different keys and just making sure that I'm communicating to the defense, to the rest of the group, and in situations like that. And so it's been a challenge, but it's been a fun challenge, and I think it's helped my game overall, helped me improve. And then so just that, I mean, I guess that's just as far as safety. But Clarence he's grown so much in his time here, just a short time here. I mean, just being thrown into the fire in our first game against Clemson. I had no idea that our coaching staff had plans of him to play that game, but he was thrown out there and he was ready to go. And so it was challenging for me just because I had to step up my communication a bit and make sure he had the calls and make sure he was ready to go. But now he's come along. He's into the playbook. He knows what's going on, and so he's gotten his reps up, and he's very, very comfortable on the field now. So it's just great seeing him out there playing at a high level, playing fast, and having him on the outside. And I have full trust in him. So his growth has been amazing to see this season.
We'll go next to Tim Priester.
Shaun, in dealing with Devontae Smith, what are the do's and don'ts? What do you have to do to try to contain him, and what do you not dare do in defending him?
I mean, I guess try to limit the one-on-one matchups. I guess he's a great receiver. You can watch on film that Mac Jones and the Alabama offense trust him to go out there and make a play, and so they're gonna put the ball up there, and so we got to try to do a great job of holding our shells and trying to disguise things and make it tough for Mac Jones to know that he doesn't have that one-on-one matchup early, or trying to take him away post snap and the way we rotate and things of that nature. And so those are the don'ts. And then with the do's is just try to be physical, try to get hands on him. He's a elusive, fast, slippery guy, so that'll be tough. But I think if we're able to just get hands on him, try to slow him down before he can get into his route, get into his stride, I think that'll help us out tremendously.
We'll go next to Chuck Freeby.
Shaun, I'm not picking on you because you've been around for a while, but because you have as much experience as you do, how have you seen offenses change in college football, even since the time that you came in as a freshman?
Uh, I guess just for an example, I guess Alabama. When I was a freshman, I guess they were more heavy on the run and situations like that. Now I guess they're more of a pass team, but when I came into college, teams were still majority pass and RPO and game, and that hasn't changed really. So I can't say that's changed much.
We'll hand it over next to Darren Pritchett.
Shaun, what is it about Mac Jones' skill set that allows him to take advantage of all the weapons assembled around him?
He can make every throw. He's a quarterback you're going to see on the next level. He's very calm and precise in the pocket, and he has trust in his receivers. And so when you have talent on the outside like he does, you can just put the ball in the area and trust the receiver's going to go get it. And so the fact that he has a good arm, he has good precision and things of that nature. He has a good offensive line blocking for him, and also knowing that he has a good running game, so the play action is always there, and it'll suck in the defense. And so having that asset to the offense is key for him, and also allows the receivers to have a lot of like one-on-one matchups and a lot of free areas in the zone coverage.
We'll go next to Chris Daly.
Shaun, so your love for the Irish is pretty clear. It's your 6th year here. So what does Coach Kelly and the whole program mean to you, not just as a player, but as a person?
Excuse me, I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
No worries. Your love for the Irish is pretty clear. So it's your 6th year for the Irish now. What does Coach Kelly and this program mean to you, not just as a player, but as a person?
Oh, this place is home to me. This is where I grew up at. This is where I found myself and continue to just find love and passion for the game. And so Coach Kelly has just been he's been great to me. He's stuck with me through all the adversity, and so he's just been like another father figure to me on campus and while I'm at school, away from my home in Cleveland. But yeah, this place is just home. It was an opportunity for me to find myself, for me to battle through adversity, to really grow into myself. And so I love this this team, love this university, and so each and every day I just go out there just to cherish the moment and just cherish the opportunities that this university has provided me.
We'll go next to Omar Urena.
Hi, Shaun. First of all, congratulations on a great career at Notre Dame. My question is, how would you describe your mindset when it comes to tackle, and how are you going to bring this mindset into the Rose Bowl?
You said my mindset when it comes to tackling?
Yes.
And just to get body on them, try not to leave my feet, try not to dive as much because they are, or as Najee here is a bigger back, and so just try to get square on them, fit them up, and try to wrap and just bring them to the ground as much as, or try to bring them to the ground every single time, but. And just pursuing to the ball, get a lot of hats to the ball. That's what we're going to need to do. Try to get him before his momentum gets going. And on the outside, we're going to have to, when they're going to catch balls, they're a good receiving core. And so when they do catch balls, we got to limit the yak. And so make sure we get them down as soon as we can. And so I think that'll be key for us in the secondary is not so much just getting upset with if they catch a ball, but just making sure that they don't take it the distance if they do catch the ball. And so just getting them down right after the catch will be huge.
And we'll wrap it up with John Finneran.
Shaun, I'm an old guy, so you might have already addressed this, but I was wondering, you've got a 7th year possibility to come back next year. Have you made a decision whether you're going to come back or not?
Yeah, I don't plan on coming back.
And with that, we will wrap it up. Thank you very much, Shaun.
Thank you.
And in a few moments, we'll wrap up our availability today with linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. So if you do have a question, please go ahead and use the raise hand function.
Claire, you turn my camera off?
All right, now that our camera is all buffed and polished, we're ready to go with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Your first question will be from Austin Huff.
Jeremiah, what was wrong with the camera there, man? It looked fine from our end. And no, and a more serious question, just obviously Alabama has a ton of weapons. So how do you try to slow down guys like Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, and Mac Jones?
Yeah, all great guys, all great players. Every great player can be contained. Every great player can be limited. Their ability, you just have to find a weakness. And that's just been our challenge all throughout the week, is just to find each and every guy that is explosive, which is nearly everybody that they have on the offense, man. It's, the linemen, you have 22, you have 4, 6, 19, 8. All of them are great players. And our challenge is just to find a weakness in each one of them. I don't think I should get into specifics in how we are going to stop them, but, we just got to find weaknesses and make sure we execute on those.
We'll go next to Tim O'Malley.
Jeremiah, sticking with Alabama's offense, the number one third down conversion rate in the country. What is, when you see on film, what is the secret to that? Obviously, down and distance is important when they have third and short, but what is the key to limiting them, getting them off the field once in a while?
Well, it's just start fast. Whether that's we're talking about in the beginning of the game, or whether that's talking about in first down, second down. Just trying to get them behind the sticks. And if you get them behind the sticks, then they're looking at a harder, more limited playbook. Rather than 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, where they can open up the entire playbook. So the key is just to stop them on first and second down and get them behind the sticks to make it even more difficult for them to dive into their playbook and just run whatever they want to run. So I think the issue here, or the challenge here, is to just control the narrative.
We'll go next to Dennis Dodd.
Hey, Jeremiah, congratulations on the Butkus. I wonder if you ever grew up, kids grow up when you say, I want to, be the best quarterback, best running back. Did it ever enter your mind growing up, I want to be the best linebacker in the country?
Man, first of all praises to the Most High. Thank you for that. Growing up, I never really thought about being the best linebacker. It was more like, man, I want to, just be the best football player, be the best quarterback, and I wanted to be a quarterback. I wanted to be a wide receiver. As a kid, you don't really think about defense. You think about offense, because that's the person that's, getting all the, the praise and the touchdowns and stuff like that. So not really for me, linebacker. And, all throughout high school, I thought I was a safety. I thought I was a corner. I thought I was everything but a linebacker. But, all glory to God, man, for the award and the acknowledgement. I'm thankful.
We'll go next to Larry Rubima.
Yes, how you doing, Jeremiah? You talked a little bit about high school. You growing up playing at Bethel High School. How did growing up in the 757 kind of prepare you to be the athlete that you become, especially going from scout team to All-American and winning all these awards? Just talk about how growing up in the 757 kind of molded you to be the player that you are. Man,
it's a good question. Like it's in you're a product of your environment, and coming from the 757 is just a competitive environment. I'm especially coming from Bethel High School with a lot of guys. Looking up to AI and, look at, Allen Iverson's competitive nature. And that's kind of rooted in the guys that are coming from that place, whether it's Michael Vick or any of the other guys, even some of the younger guys like Ricky Walker, guys that went to Tech and stuff like that. We always was looking up to those guys and always looking to compete to find the next, person. Am I going to be the next guy to rise above, that loop? Am I going to be the next guy to rise above that standard? And when you come into a place which, the word is compete, the word is attitude, you just always want to excel those, you want to go past the sky, you want to go past the stars, you want to go past anything that is set in your way. And, in high school, that was just always the goal, to find something to separate myself from those that came after me and ultimately to leave the place better than I found it. So.
We'll go next to Carter Carls.
Hey, Jeremiah, being that this could be maybe your last season at Notre Dame, just wondering if you've tried to do anything these last couple of weeks, or in the week leading up to this game, trying to take in the moment and just kind of enjoy the process and the journey that you've been on. And then also you mentioned him, but Allen Iverson, wondering if you've reached out to him this week or if he's reached out to you, and if you guys have talked or if you've gotten any advice from him about how to handle these last couple games.
Well, to your first question, man, it's been a lot going on, in these few weeks with, my name out there. So, it's always about the man in the arena. You have a lot of people in, the crowd. You have a lot of people that's even close to you that when they get in contact with you, a lot of people just coming out, the woodwork saying congratulations. And it's all appreciative and I'm all thankful. But even to that extent, my due diligence is to what's in front of me. My due diligence is to handle what is at stake. And right now, what is at stake is a national championship, is a playoff game. So it's just been about blocking the noise out. I know that's such a cliche saying, is block the noise out, but it's really an extensive process of having to turn your phone off some days, having to limit your social media use some days, having to focus on certain things, focus on, film and stuff like that. So it's a lot of things that you have to do to be able to block out the noise, to understand that you are the man in the arena. The man that, is important right now is the one that you're looking in the mirror at. But to your second question, I haven't reached out to AI. I don't think AI has reached out to me. I've gotten in contact with some of his close friends and stuff like that. And I was talking to Michael Vick on the phone, a couple of weeks back, but, that's about it as far as those guys.
We'll hand it over next to Michael Casagrande.
Yeah, just wondering, with all the hype surrounding Alabama's offense this year, is it an exciting challenge for you to be able to go against them in this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's something you dream of. It's almost like you're not really playing, the guys that, Alabama has. It's always like you're playing the franchise. It's like you're playing the team in the program because it's been so successful. It's been so high praise and prominent. You want to face the team that's the best. If you say that you're the best, you want to go against the best. And that's been the saying in everything. So when you talk about playing Alabama, it's a great honor. It's a great, privilege to be able to be on the field and compete with those guys that believe that they're the best. I believe I'm the best. You believe you're the best, and let's see who comes out on top.
We'll go next to Mark Skoll.
Hey, Jeremiah. Brian Kelly and Coach Lee have talked about recently how you've risen through the ranks from scout team to Butkus Award winner, and that you always had that want to be great, to become who you've become. How hard was that watching for a while, for a couple of years, then getting your first opportunity really to play last year and now becoming the player you are today?
Man, sheesh. It's been crazy just to look at the way that I kind of, progressed over time, from going to scout team, having to play DN, against Mike McGlinchey, and having to, play middle linebacker and rush against Quinn Nelson and guys like that. Just going through that process and kind of watching the guys and how they handled themselves, even Brandon Wimbush. Just watching those guys on the defensive side when I was in scout, not really having the ability to, be in the defense and being in the game plan and stuff like that. It was just an opportunity where I got to learn. I would say that process was needed. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful process. It's beauty in the struggle, as J. Cole says. But yeah, I loved it, honestly, man. I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, I wouldn't have it, I start off, this great guy and this beautiful guy, and then I couldn't be relatable. Now I can be relatable to some of those guys that are on scout team. Now I can be relatable to some of those guys that aren't where they need to be or where they want to be, and that ultimately allows me to be the type of leader that I want to be, because how can I guide you down a path that I haven't seen before? So
we'll go next to Chuck Freeby.
Jeremiah, two-part question. Clark Lee talked about the humility that you've had to learn, to be willing to learn at the position. Number one, can you tell me what the main thing you've learned from Clark Lee is to make yourself better? And number two, how gratifying was the reaction of your teammates when you were named the Butkus Award winner?
I got you. To the first question, I think the biggest thing I've learned from Coach Lee is probably the art of words. He always talks about the art of words, how it can be a distraction, how it can cause you to ultimately live
in a different world and forget about, your true talent, forget about what got you to the place that you are in right now. I think I've learned that, what I just said before, always to leave the situation that you're in, the program that you're in, better than you found it in some way, shape, or form. And I think Coach Lee is a good mentor and a good representation of that. I think those are the two key things that I take away from Coach Lee is, the art of words and how it can distract you, and how you have to focus on yourself and not let the compliments, get to your head, not let the compliments overshadow, who you truly are. Because ultimately what matters is the performance. So you have the art of words, and then you have leaving a place better than you found it. To the second question, I believe, I was speaking so much, I talked too much. What was the second question again?
Regarding the reaction of your teammates when you won the Butkus Award.
Man, it was good to know that, guys are always, behind your back. Guys are always lifting you up. Even if I didn't win the award, the guys will still, be behind me. That this is a brotherhood. This is something like nothing before that I've been in the 4 years that I've, been playing here. It's always a great feeling when, you have the guys closest to you, the guys who you spend dang near 11 out of the 12 months with, always behind you, always picking you up and always cheering you on. So, the glory goes to me, but the glory also goes to them as well. So
we'll go next to Darren Pritchett.
Jeremiah, you look at the results, stopping the run the last two games, not the same as earlier in the year. As you've turned on the film, is there anything that has stood out that you believe is going to be necessary to be fixed leading into this matchup against Alabama's run game?
Man, that's just the most simple question I've got all day. It's just about execution. It's about the small things. It's about whether I'm going to get reached, or whether it's about I'm going to fit my gap full speed, or whether I'm going to pat my feet. It's in the small things that we didn't execute on in the last two games. It's in the very small things. And I think when we go back to watch the film, we key in on those things and find the fundamentals and get back what we had, man. We had an edge. We have to get back to that. And I think, once we find that edge again, which I think we are, looking at these practices that we've been having, been some great practices, we'll get that edge back, and we'll key in on what we need to key in on, and we'll ultimately execute to lead to, being that defense that stops the run as well as the pass. So
we'll go next to Andrew Mentok.
You mentioned how your experiences on the scout team made you a better leader, and some of your other teammates like MTA praised your leadership abilities and positivity. Is being a good leader something you make like concerted effort towards, or is that something that kind of comes naturally, especially being so positive?
What I'm saying is you're born a leader. I don't think you can form somebody as much as you want to try. I don't think you can form somebody into being a leader as much as you try to teach them and do all these certain things. You have, take a look at nature. You have a lion. A lion's not the biggest, not the fastest, not the tallest person, but what makes him the king of his kingdom is his attitude. And that attitude was instilled in him from birth. So, I think it's a thing where I hold it as a high, place to be at, just to be a leader. But also, I don't want to be in the limelight all the time. I want to be that leader that talks to the man one-on-one behind the scenes, talks to the man, go sit down for dinner, that type of guy, I think. And ultimately, that is the type of guy that you want on your team, the type of guy that, you want in your program that, doesn't do it for the lights, doesn't do it for the cameras, but also does it behind the scenes. So
we'll hand it over next to Tim Priester.
Jeremiah, you touched upon Coach Lee, and you mentioned about the art of words, but could you just encapsulate what Coach Lee has meant to you and the role that he's played in your development?
Well, he's been a difference maker. He's been a different type of coach. I've never had a type of coach like Coach Lee. He doesn't yell much. He doesn't complain much. He's really a guy that's hard-nosed and is truly gritty. All my life, I've had coaches that, have that aggressive nature, that yell, and that has made me who I am today, and I'm appreciative of that. but Coach Lee, he has a different style. You know, he's more of a technical, analytical type of guy that, you know, wants you to understand the philosophies of the world, wants you to understand the philosophies of football. And I think that approach has ultimately made me reach this kind of almost holistic football player. I haven't got there yet, nowhere close. But I think that has ultimately led me in the right direction with him being a difference maker for me in that arena of my life. So.
All right, and we will wrap it up this afternoon, or morning rather, with Chris Daly.
Chris Daly.
Hey, Jeremiah. So a lot of people focus on the football side of preparation, but how are you preparing mentally for a game like Alabama in the Rose Bowl?
How do you prepare mentally? I was asked a question similar to that, I think on my Instagram one day, and I said, you know, the challenge is not to be nervous. The challenge is not to have butterflies. It's to key in on your responsibilities, key in on you. You know, if you're nervous, if you have butterflies, that's half of the battle you lost. I think the number one thing is when you're getting ready for a game like this is to not focus on Alabama. You know, you watch too much film, you be like, dang, these dudes is amazing. They got us and gods and, you know, all this. You start to get, you know, certain mindsets. But if you key in and you focus on the things that you're supposed to key in on, if you focus on yourself, you know, if our team performs how our team is supposed to perform, you know, everything else will handle itself. The key is not to just focus on how good he is or how good, you know, this guy is, but it's to focus on yourself and your development. And ultimately, you know, that process will drive you to meet that opportunity and to ultimately succeed in your performance. So.
All right, and we will wrap it up there. Thank you very much, Jeremiah.
Sure.
And we will hand it back over to Karen Linhart at the Rose Bowl for some more information.
Thank you, everyone for joining us this morning. Just as a reminder, the transcripts will be available on collegepressbox.com and via the CFP Media portal. The videos will also be available on the CFP Media portal here shortly within the next hour. We'll see you all at 12 o'clock for the Alabama offensive availability. Thank you.